welcome to the Late Night Podcast with Matt and Ben, where we talk, discuss, and share views regarding video games, nerdy stuff in general, or anything really. And it starts in 3, 2, 1. And hello everyone, my name is Matt and welcome to this first installment of the Late Nights Matt and Ben podcast. Basically, this is just a podcast where me and my friend Ben, aka Blaze, based on the so-known Mega Man villain, say hi, Ben.
Blaze Heatnix from Mega Man X6, but yeah, my Steam name is Blaze231. You know, me and Venom have been talking like this on Skype for a while, and we thought, we had these like late night talks about like stuff we agreed on or disagreed on, and we're like, you know what, we should make like a show out of this. You know, he's like linked me to his channel,
yeah, and
you know, we've been trying to get this off the ground for a few days, and we had some problems.
Well, I think we're getting the hang of it. Like, I think finally we're gonna start it, and we had a really pretty interesting backstory, me and Blaze. We used to argue on a forum, only with text, and because it was only text, we usually with people, I'm pretty good at gauging like what's their mood like how they're like if they're trying to be funny or something. With Blaze, I just couldn't, and same for him. He couldn't gauge me, and we thought we were like douchebags to each other and just being mad. But then it was like, hey, want to play Portal 2 with me? I'm like, oh sure. And then we talked on microphone.
Yeah,
and
I was like, okay, douchebag, I need someone to play Portal 2 with me. If you can stop being a douche for 2 seconds and play Portal 2 with me, because I need a co-op partner. I will try to be friendly to you. And then we had a blast, and so
yeah. And I was like, damn, I really wish I could have recorded that for everyone to see. It was so fun. Too bad you couldn't see that, viewer. Anyway, but yeah, we realized
we'll probably record the map pack when it comes out.
Yeah, and but to go back on the podcast, we basically wanted to oh yeah, so
a bunch of topics he'd like to talk about with me today.
Yeah, we started basically so to talk while we were playing Portal, and then we talked on Skype, basically talking about random subjects, and we were like, geez, we're getting pretty deep in these conversations, and I don't know if we're gonna succeed in being as deep or maybe trying to be interesting, but we'll try. It's not really our first try, but
I think the first time this started was like we were playing one Portal 2 map, and we stopped in the middle to have like a 10-minute or 20-minute conversation about Metroid Prime, and like I said, like I thought Metroid Prime 3 was the best of the series, and you're like, Metroid Prime was the best of the series, and we just like argued back and forth with that.
Yeah, and it was pretty fun.
What were you gonna say?
We were stuck on a puzzle for once. Okay, so I have a few subjects here. I have a bunch of them. I only want this to last maybe like 45 minutes maximum, because otherwise I'm gonna want to kill myself by editing this thing. But yeah, I have a few subjects. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to run them all, but we'll try. And so basically, I just name a subject, and me and Blaze me and Ben will share our thoughts. So I decided, like, let's start with something kind of candy, kind of easy, and it's gonna be able also to help the viewer know us. Well, more Blaze, because I'm kind of doing Let's Plays and stuff, but still, you might learn something.
Yeah, I have my own YouTube channel, but it has literally nothing on it. I don't do the, I don't do the video thing. I've never even attempted to use Vegas to make any videos, or I've never even attempted to record Fraps because it always lagged up, and my computer keeps crashing nowadays. I need to fix that. So I mean, I won't be making any Let's Plays. Let's just keep it at that.
Yeah, and he hasn't even watched my videos. What a terrible person. Nah, it's okay, I don't care. And so, first subjects, let's try to keep it simple, pretty easy. Favorite video game and why? I'll let you start.
Well, I'm probably going to sound like a tool for saying this, but I think my favorite game that I've ever played was Super Mario Galaxy 2, because almost all the levels in there are unique, and they all have a simple premise. Like, they all have these fun mechanics to them. I mean, it's basically simple platforming, but it's done in such a way, and in the traditional Mario charm, that it's the perfect platformer. I can't think of a better platformer, because everything in the game is like, I mean, I think I read this one review that summed it up perfectly. There are a lot of power-ups and level ideas that could be made into full ideas, or full games on their own, and so it never gets boring, and even if you play it more than once, and it's got a great soundtrack. It's fully orchestrated and brilliantly composed, and it's timed perfectly to Mario's movement. Like you can hear, like, I swear every time I played it, it's like the music timed to the sound effects, like when I jumped or when I spun into something or when I shot a star bit. It wasn't even on purpose. Even if it was on purpose, it was only because the music was so fucking catchy that and yeah, a lot of stuff is like that. Um, I think my only complaint is that the difficulty isn't really balanced. Like, the whole game is kind of hard. Like, I was surprised how hard it was on some of the later levels. The later levels would made me rage so hard, but the bosses were piss easy. I mean, they all take 3 hits, and they have the simplest patterns ever.
Yeah.
I mean, the final boss is Bowser. I'm not even gonna spoil that.
Spoiler alert! What? You just ruined it for everyone.
I know. I'm sorry, everybody. Maybe you should edit that out.
Yeah.
But no, seriously. Yeah, it was just pathetic. As epic as the final battle was, it was pretty fucking easy.
Okay. So yeah,
and also it has the best graphics on the Wii that I've probably ever seen.
Yeah,
Not
that
sure what to say about that.
could be pretty true. What I can say about Mario Galaxy 2, I haven't played it, but I think I tried maybe either this one or the first one, like in a store once, where it was, on these little screens that you can play games for. So that obviously makes me an expert in the matter. But I don't know. I thought the Wiimote controls were awkward. Maybe I'm just not used to it. Actually, I'm probably not used to it.
Yeah, it's probably you're not used to it, because once you played Mario Galaxy 2 for like the first 10 minutes, you'll realize that the control is so easy, because there's no waggle in it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it's not delayed. It's not, you don't have to constantly get it to sync with the TV or anything. It's perfectly responsive, and the only thing you need, you like wiggle the Wii remote a little bit to spin. That's all you do. Even Nintendo knows that they're waggle bullshit.
Well, they realized it by this point, and they realized everyone knew. But yeah, I noticed that spinning was like basically your main form of attack. But whatever, I'm just terrible at it. But I remember hearing the lava level for Bowser level 2, which is taken from Mario 64, and it's an orchestrated version of it, and that was just amazing. Like,
Oh yeah, it's got a lot of fan service. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Because there are so many, like, they're lying through their teeth when they say that they're trying to aim Mario at new audiences, because they have so much shit in there for old fans. Like, they have music from Super Mario World that I just adored. Like, they had the Boo House music from Super Mario World and the main level theme on and it was just really cool. It was fully orchestrated, and I just got such a nostalgia rush from playing it back on the SNES.
Yeah, no, definitely. Mario's music is probably one of the most memorable, like, not my favorite, but definitely one of the most memorable scores ever out there, if not the most memorable. And of course I think they do try to aim it at a mature audience, but they don't forget the older players.
They don't like redesign it for like the hip, cool young people. Shit like that.
Hip and cool, oh yeah. Okay, so I guess is that all you wanted to say? I guess we might want to go onto my game, my favorite game of all time. I from my perspective, like, I don't know if it's probably not the best game I've played, but it definitely is my favorite, and it is Metroid Prime. Just everything from Metroid Prime, from the music is amazing. The atmosphere, the levels, everything is so amazing in this game. Like the art direction, the enemies design, the fact you can scan the enemies, so it gives you even more immersion in the game. And the gameplay is pretty sweet too, and the boss fights are amazing. There's just everything in that game that just I like. It's a linear game, but I replayed it like what 8 times. Maybe the same thing for the second one, and I think I only played the third one once, unfortunately. But yeah, I think the Metroid Prime 2 is probably almost as good. Like, if Metroid Prime is 100%, like Metroid Prime 2 is probably 98%, which you know, it's almost as good as, like, I've seen, like, if people haven't seen the artwork for this game, like just the design of the artist they hired for doing the design of the enemies, and like just the feel of the game, like without this guy the game wouldn't be the same. Like I really love it. And it seems every musical aspect, like every song, it fits perfectly for the area. Like just the song from like the ice area feels like ice, and it seems even to the instruments that they use, like you can see an instrument represents something that's happening. Like some instrument will represent, like for Metroid Prime 2, like the darkness, like the Ings. Some will be like more of a foresty feel. Some will be like represent ice. Some will represent like danger, a boss fight, or like just a rush, like to get out of there. This it's really all amazing. Like I just,
You know, I said one time that at one point that Metroid Prime 3 was my favorite, but the only reason I said that was because the controls from
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 3 were
Yeah.
so good. That is how you do a Wii first-person shooter, people.
yes, yes,
But I mean, once the Metroid Prime trilogy came out and they put the controls in Metroid Prime 1, it's like, fuck it, Metroid Prime 1 is the best game.
yeah,
And yeah, I think my favorite I think my favorite thing about Metroid Prime 1 is that there's no dialogue. I mean,
yes.
there is literally no dialogue except for, you know, data text files.
Yes, and thanks for reminding me of it. Like the way they tell the story in a unique way. Like you can either skip it by not scanning anything, or you can scan every little bit of your environment to
Yeah, and
discover a story,
yeah, and
piece
even
by
if you
piece.
even if you don't scan anything, the story makes perfect sense. I mean, the scans are for like tiny details, for
Yeah.
if you want to know where the Chozo came from or something like that. But I mean, even if
Well,
even if you don't scan, it's
To be fair,
like,
you might not know exactly what's going on. Like what's the, you know, where the what's that temple thing where you have to collect all the artifacts and stuff. But
but I mean, if you don't scan them, I think it adds to the atmosphere. So it adds a sort of mystery to it, I think.
Maybe. Well, I think they keep the mystery pretty hardcore in the first game and the second game, like the whole phazon thing. Because in the game, for people who don't know, there's like this substance in the trilogy that's called phazon, and it's highly mutagen component that will transform normal creatures in crazy bloodthirsty mutants that will kill everybody. And of course, it makes the bad guys, the space pirates, basically inject it into everything, including themselves.
Yep.
And you know, you don't know where it comes from. It's kind of a weird substance because you know, it's invented, and it can create. It's very volatile. It can make all kinds of mutations, but you feel it has some kind of logic to it, and there's lots of mystery, which is revealed in the third game, which I think a part of me found it disappointing because I like to not know what it was. But I will say that the answer they found for it, the explanation they've given, which they probably knew from the beginning, by the way, is probably the best they could have found. And I don't want to spoil it, but it's amazing. Like if you want to call yourself like no, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna say that because that would make me sound stupid. I was about to say if you want to call yourself a gamer, you have to play Metroid Prime, but instead I'll say if you want to have a really good time, you should play the Metroid Prime trilogy. And even if you can't have the actual trilogy, because even if I'll admit the Wii controls are pretty badass, like they're really kick-ass, but the normal controls are still really good.
Yeah. That is probably the best introduction, probably the best 3D. What's the word I'm looking for here?
I don't know.
3D transition of a series ever.
Oh yeah. The swap from 2D games to 3D. Yes, it
Yeah,
definitely is.
because Metroid Prime is literally just Super Metroid in 3D, and it really works.
And
I
I know I'm gonna probably get some flack for this, but I honestly think that Metroid Prime is infinitely better than Super Metroid. And I think of course Super Metroid is like an amazing game. It's already like, it's like high up there on a pedestal, but I'd have to say, for me at least, that I think Metroid Prime like just trumps it. It's like it's
Well,
just so great.
I kind of have to agree that Super Metroid hasn't quite aged as well as Metroid Prime because the map system is a piece of shit in Super Metroid.
It's not too bad, but
No, it doesn't tell you where, it has like these little dots in place for the power upgrades and
yeah.
stuff. Like like in Zero Mission and Beyond, it like had a clear indication of whether you've got the missile upgrade or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Here it doesn't
there.
tell you at all. I mean, whether you have it or not. It's telling you where the general location of it was, but it doesn't tell you if you've got it or not.
Yeah, no,
And for
that's true.
100% completionists like me, that really pissed me off.
Yeah, you got a good point there. But still, it's an amazing game, and Metroid is just like it's just an amazing game overall. Like especially the female protagonist, which is such a badass. Let's forget about other M, which I don't really like. But I'll be honest, I haven't played it, but I saw the cutscene with Ridley and this whole thing about the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby. And
The fuck?
well, no, I'm gonna explain this joke because in the other Metroid games, she refers as a Metroid baby larva as like either the larva or the Metroid. Maybe like once the
Yeah.
baby or something, but in other M, it's always the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby, the baby, and people see it like as her being like some kind of like more weak
Yeah.
between like quotations, but you know, it's not. I don't hate it. I don't hate that scene with Ridley. By the way, it's just. I don't want to
I think
explain it or
Japan-
go into much details. Actually, I think we'll just go over it and go back to this another time, where maybe.
Well, I was gonna say that I just think Japan hates female protagonists that are not scantily clad, don't have
Yeah.
big boobs, and are totally feminine.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'll just say that the reason why I don't like the scene is because she shouldn't fear an enemy that she's already destroyed 10,000 times in a row. That's just my
Yeah,
point.
I mean, I would rather, in another M, it's like, I mean, what happens between Super Metroid and Fusion? Okay, Adam dies. That's it. I mean, what if it's explained in Fusion anyway? So I would just consider other M non-canon.
Yes,
Because I
but
mean, it barely counts as a main series game because nothing really happens.
yeah,
That's significant.
and maybe the gameplay is fun. Like I saw some videos, and honestly, it looks like a fun game. Like if I'd played it, I'd probably be like, "Fun, I shoot stuff. Oh, I wish it was Metroid Prime." And then cutscene, and then I would grind my teeth and be like, "Ah!" And then I'd play again and be happy again. But let's move to the second subject, which is kind of similar but might be different. Favorite video game series? Is it?
Oh boy, that's gonna be hard because most of the games I've played one out of every series.
Okay.
But there are a bunch that I have played. I mean, I have a bunch of favorite series. Like I mean, I have Phoenix Wright, which I adore.
Okay.
And I have Mario, which I honestly really like the main series games. I mean, I think they're all great in their own right. And of course there's Zelda and Metroid
Yeah, the others.
and Metal Gear.
If you had to choose one, which one? Like, you could only play this
Well,
one for the rest of.
that's what I'm trying to say. I can't really choose one, but if I had to choose one, I think I would choose Phoenix Wright,
Okay.
Ace Attorney, because the story in those games is just, oh my god, so good, and the trial gameplay where it's like pressing for information, present evidence, and it's just, I mean, I don't know what it is, but it just never gets old because it's always it's different every time
Yeah.
the way you do things, and the plot twists are insane. Like I'm not gonna give anything away,
Of course not.
but at one point, throughout the entire like first game, you're like calling people out on like stuff that happens outside the murder, and it somehow relates to the murder, and the judge is like, what the hell does this have to do with the case? And it's like you finally prove how it has anything, and then like the final case, you do this again, and the witness is like, okay, who cares? And it's like, what? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to give you a penalty for that. It's like, what? I did what?
Oh, Phoenix Wright. The judge is a dick. Anyways, I haven't really played these, but the way you describe them, maybe I should try them because I like crazy plot twists that make you go, "Holy shit! I can't believe this is happening." This is why I read comics like The Walking Dead or Invincible. Yeah, Robert Kirkman, you're my hero. Little plug-in.
Yeah, you really should try it.
Yeah.
Well, I think I would just say stay away from Apollo Justice because it's not bad, but
It's not as great.
It's not anywhere near as good. And the Edge Miles Edgeworth's Investigations, which is in the same series, I'm really pissed at Capcom for not releasing the sequel in the U.S. even though it has a very very loyal fan base over here.
Yeah.
But I mean, Investigations was I think a great way to put a new spin on the formula, so that it's not quite as tedious as the point and click shit. It's more traditional, but it still keeps the present and press information shit like that. And I wish I would have seen more of it, but the plot was just it was
they just canceled the Phoenix
the
Wright for
last case,
a new Street
I'm not gonna
Fighter.
spoil anything, but
Ouch.
the last case dragged on forever, and it's like wait, I have more evidence. It's like nah, I gotta leave. You know, we're done here. Wait, I have more evidence. It just keeps going like that.
But see, they removed your favorite game so they could make place for a new Street Fighter with one more character in it. Oh snap! But yeah, and I guess I'll go with my favorite series. It's not the Metroid series, but close. It is the Castlevania series because just maybe like the classic ones. I prefer Metroidvanias, but the classic ones are pretty good too. Because it's always consistently good. Like it's similar, but every time the story is different. Like it's not the best story in the world, but it's pretty solid in terms of story. The gameplay is always amazing. Like you kill enemies, you level up, you get items, you explore the castle. It's similar to the 2D Metroids. Metroidvania terms come from there, and I guess that's not surprising. I like it if you look at it like that. But oh my god, like the DS games, just amazing. I think my favorite one would have to be Order of Ecclesia. And the first one is pretty good too. I like them all actually. They're all great. I just can't choose. Also, I actually have not played the one with Alucard on the PlayStation. It's called
Symphony of the Night.
Yes, Symphony of the Night. I haven't played.
Your favorite series is Castlevania. You've never played Symphony of the Night.
Yes. Can you
like
believe that?
That's like saying your favorite series is Zelda and you've never played Ocarina of Time.
Ooh, now people will say, Ocarina is not the best game of Zelda. It's
no, I mean,
no, I know.
I'm not saying it's the best game, but
no,
I mean,
yeah.
If it's going to be your favorite series, I mean, you have to play the most significant game in the series. But,
I know, and I kind of know the backstory behind this game. Like, it was supposed to be like a side game. That's why the gameplay is different. And the main game was supposed to be the one on the Nintendo 64, but the one on the Nintendo 64 became a piece of trash. And the PlayStation side game, which like doesn't involve the Belmonts and involved like Alucard, ended up being like the most amazing game ever. And like even when you finish the game, like you didn't actually finish it. Like you just did half the game. How amazing is that? Like, but I really, I'll be honest. I really have to play this game. The only thing I know from this game is like the opening sequence, like "Die, monster! You do not belong in this world."
It is not by my hand. That blah 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 blah.
But it was by humans that I was once again given flesh.
What is a man?
You take man's soul and whatever, and then maybe the same can be said of all religions. What is a man? A miserable plot of secrets. But now enough talk. Have it, you. So great.
If you want to play Symphony of the Night, you can get the PSP version, which has better voice acting and a retranslated script.
Oh.
And it's basically better than the original.
Unfortunately, I don't have a PSP nor a PS anything. That is why I cannot play it. But I definitely want to play this gem in my life. Also, I can't wait for them to release a new 2D game like on DS or 3DS or something like Castlevania. Maybe maybe with 2D sprites they can make something really amazing with the 3D of the 3DS. I don't have a 3DS yet. I don't know much about it. But
the only Castlevania game I've ever played was Super Castlevania 4 on the SNES.
I preferred it a little bit. I played more Bloodlines when it comes to classic Castlevanias, but people say Super Castlevania 4 is probably one of the best, and I saw some videos about it, and some people explain why they love it, and I understand why.
Yeah, well, part of the reason Super Castlevania 4 is just so good is that you know, the control. The control is perfect. I mean, it is how every single Castlevania game needs to be done. And yet,
Yes.
and yet, the control. I mean, you. I mean, I think that Angry Video Game Nerd reviewed this
Yeah, you did.
greatly. I mean, you can whip in all directions, and with all the late games, it's like you can only whip straight, which is stupid.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I've only played the fourth one, and I beat it. And it was just really good. It had a lot of atmosphere, and you know, it was just classic Castlevania. I
Yeah.
mean, it was basically the first game without the suck.
Yeah, I'll just add a little thing to close this Castlevania segment. I think for Classicvania, whipping in all direction is mandatory, but in Metroidvania, not necessarily, because you get different weapons that do different stuff, and you know they kind of balance each other out. You don't have only your whip.
Well, yeah.
So, no, yeah, I know, you know that. I'm just explaining. And so I guess the next topic will be defining childhood game. So the defining game of your childhood. Go for it. Hit it, Blaze.
Well, you say that, but I mean, I'm not really sure I have a childhood game. I mean,
Or childhood
well,
games.
what? That's the thing. I don't really have. Like, I wasn't really big into games when I was. Well, I mean, I was big into the games, but I mean, I didn't have a defining game that
Okay.
I have really fond memories of. I mean, but I think if I had to pick one, it would be Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I probably replayed that game like 3 times. I mean, I can't really explain why it was so good, but probably because I mean, it's basically, you know, platforming bliss. I mean, you go through a level, and it's like cool shit happens around you as you're happening. I mean, you're running away from a boulder that's chasing you, and the boss fights are all unique,
Yeah.
and they all have a different theme to them.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm sorry to say this, but I mean, that's the one game I can think of that I have fond memories of.
Okay.
Actually, there was Spyro the Dragon, which I play a lot. That I can comment on.
Yeah.
That was great because you know, the music was kick ass. You know, all the levels were like open worlds, and it was basically like Sony Interactive's not Sony Interactive's, Insomniac's
Yeah.
reaction to Super Mario 64.
Oh yeah. I
And
can see that.
it had a lot of, you know, it had that Super Mario 64 vibe to it. I mean, you go into a open
Yeah.
world, and you do a bunch of different objectives, and you know,
Collect
and you earn
stuff.
some gems and shit like that. Yeah, I grew up a PlayStation kid. I was not a Nintendo kid.
If platformers are a mental illness, they are hoarding.
Yeah.
Because you collect all that stuff. But yeah, I actually haven't played that much PlayStation games myself. I was a Nintendo 64 kid. Before that, I had a Sega Genesis, so I guess Sonic 2 was my first game ever. So I guess it did leave a little imprint. But being a Nintendo 64 kid, I guess I'm not gonna surprise anybody by saying that one of my most defining childhood, if not the most defining childhood game, was definitely Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I just I think that one of the reasons why I love this game so much was it was basically the only game I had at that time that was, you know, that story intensive, and I could only play because, you know, back then, like, my parents were like, concentrate on school, don't play video games during the week. So I was like just playing during the weekends, and I was just awaited every next moment I could get my hands on the Zelda game, and of course, playing on in the weekends just made the game last longer for me. So I
Yeah.
guess playing only one game on such a big extended period of time just really like imprinted this game into me, and just like just the music, the atmosphere, everything. I just love it all. Like there's also like a quite honorable bunch amount of secrets, and the last boss. Well, that was great. I was so sad when I
Yes.
finished it, and you know, when you're a kid, you don't really understand how video game works, and there's all these rumors. Oh, there's a secret temple in the sky. If you if you bomb all the eye statues
Yeah.
and make them fly in the sky, you unlock the sky temple. And
Yeah, I heard all those rumors
And,
about
you-
Pokemon and shit like that.
you can play like the Temple of Light if you do X thing, or like. And there was another
yeah.
one about the Temple of Time. There was another one like there's a full ice temple hidden somewhere, and I also wanted to know, like, on the edge of the worlds, what was behind these mountains. I wanted to know what was beyond the Hyrule I knew, but of course now that I'm grown up, I know that it's just nothing. It's just no textures, a big empty void.
I've always wondered what was going through people's minds when they made up rumors like that. Were they just trying to piss people off, or did they were they told that by someone else and they're just trying to pass it on?
Yeah, but probably most of them. But maybe they were like either trolling, or probably just maybe some of them wanted like to make themselves feel important. Like, oh, my dad works at Nintendo and he tells me that in Zelda.
Oh yeah, God.
You can unlock the magical sword of rape by like. Probably not that though.
Oh God, that's awesome. Sword of rape.
Not really. Yeah. So I mean, I could talk about Zelda like for so long. It's basically like
Yeah.
for me, like Metroid Prime and Zelda are like similar games to me, but like Metroid Prime would be like the more mature one. I guess maybe it's because I like Zelda that I liked Metroid, because like in both games you can also kind of scan enemies. Like, I mean, Navi is gonna be like, look out, and tell you everything you need to know about the enemies. And I think it's kind of funny because I've noticed this thing. I haven't played that much Majora's Mask, but I noticed that if you played Ocarina of Time and like you want to know what a bat is, Navi is gonna be like, oh, this is a bat, careful, it's gonna fly at you and kill you, and
then like
Tattle's like, this is a
Majora's
bat, you
Mask.
dumbass. How can you not know what the fuck it does? Are you retarded? Like, did you hit your head or something, you stupid
Well-
elf boy?
Well, yeah, that is actually how she is, but I mean, you gotta admit she has a point. I mean, you're scanning a bat. I mean, it's a bat. It's going to fly at you.
That's why it's funny, but no, it's great actually. It's really great. I like the contrast. If it would be more boring if actually she would just be like,
Yeah.
well, this is a bird, and it gives her a character. It's really funny.
Well, I always considered Majora's Mask superior to Ocarina of Time, but I'm not gonna get into that.
Yeah, there's
But,
lots of people that say that. Let's not go in that debate. I'll say the only reason why I did not want to play it was because there was a time limit, and I don't know if I like this idea, but if they release it, because I know some people are petitioning for having like Majora's Mask, because Ocarina of Time got remade. They want Majora's Mask to be remade too. And to be honest, as much as like I didn't play it, I don't like it that much. I don't have any memories of it. I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. And if it would get released, I'd definitely play it. So
Well, I'm kind of embarrassed that I never got to talk about a childhood game all that much, because I mean, I grew up with a bunch of Super Mario 64 rip-offs. There's nothing much to say. I mean, Jack and Daxter, the precursor,
Yeah.
Legacy, Spyro, Crash.
But for me, like Ocarina of Time, like me and my friends used to like invent stories where we would play like and invent characters of Zelda and have adventures, and it was so fun.
Oh yeah.
It was stupid kid stuff, and hopefully I didn't have the internet back then to post stupid fan characters, because I probably would have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all kids are stupid like that. It's okay. It's part of our development, and I guess.
Creative
And
development.
also another honorable mention, I should say. Of course, Mario 64 is an obvious one. I'm just gonna throw it out there, but GoldenEye. GoldenEye
Oh.
is oh my god, like it's for its time, like it was the most amazing first-person shooter ever. But now, of course, it aged terribly, and if you have played GoldenEye as your child and haven't played it since, you might want to try or not, because it's going to totally shatter what you remember of this game. Like, I call it the GoldenEye effect. It's when you play a game as a child, and then in your mind, it kind of grows to be like better than it actually is, and then you go back to the game, and like this illusion you have of your game is shattered. Like, it looks shittier than you remember, it controls shittier than you remember, it's not as great, and you're like, holy, how could I put up with it with this as a kid? Like, it doesn't make any sense. What is wrong
That's
with
terrible.
me? Well, we didn't know any better. So I guess we can change to go to the next topic.
Yeah.
Most memorable boss fight.
Oh
you have a boss fight that you like you could never get tired of doing. Like you'd just be like, I could defeat this guy over and over again.
You know, it's funny because what I used to do with my games was like I always made my own boss rush. Like I would always go to the levels where the bosses were,
Yeah.
and I would play those like in order. So it was like I like to pretend it was like a tournament
Can I?
and
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Can I just put a little parenthesis here? Every game that has bosses should have a boss rush mode. Every game.
yeah.
Just really, it's just so fun.
But most memorable boss fight, I mean, I would say something from Zelda Twilight Princess because the boss fights in Twilight Princess, as easy as they are pretty epic.
And
Um,
to be fair to Twilight Princess, I replayed Zelda Ocarina of Time recently, and it was as easy. It's just that when I first played it, I was a kid, and I was not as great as I am today. And it's probably true for everybody that did it. Sorry.
well, the
That's just the truth.
thing with Twilight Princess is they have this like place where they basically tell you where all the heart containers is, and once you collect those, it's like the game is super easy.
Yeah, no, yeah.
But I mean, back on topic, most memorable boss fight.
Maybe I can start.
Yeah, you go ahead, man. Let me think.
Like, it might not be my favorite boss fight, but it's one I remember. That's one that's gonna be engraved in my head for probably the rest of my life. I just can't get this boss out of my head. It's from Metroid Prime 2. It's Quadraxis.
Oh shit.
Quadraxis, I mean, not only the boss fight, but the setup, the way it's made. Like, basically, in Metroid Prime 2, at some point, you go in this big base where there's robots that get controlled by the Ing. Ing are like a kind of shadow creature that possess everything, basically. And so the robots have been overtaken by the Ing, and you have to fight them. And then you go in the fortress, get power-ups, and then you get in these huge rooms with giant robot parts up and around, and you're like,
Yeah.
God damn it, I really, really hope I don't get to fight this thing, because that would be terrible. And of course, there's a light and a dark world, so you can, switch from dark world, light world, and there's some differences, and it helps your progress. And so then later, you get to on top of a platform, you go back into like the dark version of the world where the robot is in pieces in the light world. It's complete. You see like some kind of robot not moving there, like you see the boss, it's not moving. But then you have a platform, and you have to go through the room. And you know that if you take the platform to go down, the boss is gonna get up and destroy your shit. But you have to. And I remember first time I played, I was like next to that elevator, and I was like, God damn it, I don't want to do this. And then, but it was exciting at the same time. And then you go down, and then you're like, okay, I'm moving. There's a cutscene, but maybe the robot's not gonna wake up. And then you see like the big black ooze of the Ing, like, and it's getting taken over,
yeah.
and now the boss like just animates. And what a amazing boss fight. Like, I'm just gonna describe it to you, because I think even if I describe it, it's not it doesn't destroy
Well,
anything.
I mean, I have played Metroid Prime 2. I mean,
Yeah.
I finished it all the way, but I think I know I think I know what you're talking about.
I know, but I'm also talking for other people that are listening. It's basically like it's a giant robot that will like like sometimes it makes tornadoes to like attract you to it. It throws like lasers and bombs and stuff at you, and then you destroy. When you do enough damage, you separate the head and the body, and so you have to basically destroy the outer casing of the cranium of the robot body by scanning some pieces of it, and like shooting some pieces of it with like a specific visor. And then you have to go on the legs of the robot and propel yourself on the top of the head to drop a bomb in one of the two holes in the head, and do this twice. And like this boss fight is just a blast. Like, oh, it's so fun, so
Yeah.
fun, so unique. I love it.
Yeah. Most memorable boss fight. I can't really pick one, but one really good one that I'm gonna pick off the top of my head
Yeah,
was the final boss fight for Kingdom Hearts, the first game.
sure.
Um, it's basically you're walking through the final world, and you see all this disturbing, creepy imagery around you, and suddenly you're transported into the first world of the game. It's called Destiny Islands. It's where you first start the game. It's like this little island where you and your childhood friends grew up, and it had some stuff in it. Like you randomly pop in there just from walking around the final world, and it's like this seems different, and like suddenly random stuff starts disappearing around you, and there's some dialogue that says blah blah blah. The heart is all darkness. Shit.
Darkness.
and and then the island completely blows up, and it's like it's got demonic imagery around it, and you see like your old friend Riku, who's like on the beach. Well, it's not really a beach anymore, but whatever. And it's and you walk up to it, and he reveals himself as the final boss. I'm not going to spoil anything. I probably already spoiled something. I'm sorry about that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. But basically you basically fight this guy. He's floating around with this huge black beast behind him, and you're beating the crap out of him with Donald and Goofy, and then suddenly he disappears. Suddenly he disappears, and then the island blows up again, and it's like it's almost completely destroyed at this point, and there's like this little area. You walk in, Donald and Goofy can't go in there, and they're knocked out, and suddenly there's this huge black monster rising from the ground, and you fight it alone. After that, after you beat him, there's no cutscene or whatever. Suddenly there's all blackness, and then like you're standing in the middle of the area, and there's more monologue, and you suddenly see this huge ass boss. I mean, it's like I can't even tell you how huge it is, and I can't really describe it. It's like every time Donald and Goofy disappear, all right?
Yeah.
And you have to fight this guy who's hooked up to this giant freaking beast behind him. He's got wires hooked up to him. Okay. And he's got like this huge spear, and you're flying, and you're both fighting it out in like with epic music playing in the background, and you basically get transported into these secret worlds, and you get Donald and Goofy back. You fight different parts of the monster while he's encased in like this glass thing, recharging his energy. Okay. And you finally fight him one last time, where he makes this black hole attack and tries to kill you in one blow. And you finally kill him there, and epic ending after that. Okay. And
cool. So we almost reached the 45-minute mark. I don't know if you want to maybe extend it to an hour. I'd be ready to maybe do that, but actually probably not. I'll just add a little things that you made me think of it. First I wanted to say for Metroid Prime, also the Boost Ball Guardian is a memorable boss, but not for a good reason. And also every boss fight ever from Devil May Cry 3 is highly memorable. It's just so fun, especially the third fight with Virgil. If you're a trickster, it's like everybody's teleporting everywhere. It's like Dragon Ball Z, goddammit, yeah! And yeah, so that's basically 45 minutes. We haven't even made the half of the subjects I had. I'm still pretty happy about it. I think that was an amazing podcast. Of course, if any person would like to tell me what they thought of it, and of course I encourage you to while you're listening to us, go play a different game like Terraria or Minecraft, something without a story or a too loud sound, because the reason why I wanted to start making podcasts is because personally, when I play games like Minecraft or Terraria, especially when I'm rendering videos, I like to listen to other people talk about various different subjects. And I wanted maybe like to provide some more content for other people to enjoy, and maybe like share this little thing I like to do. And of course, if you have any idea for any topics, may they be video games related or comics related, or maybe like I'll try to, maybe we won't know about it, but we can try, or about anything really. We'll try to focus on video games, but if there's something that's unrelated to video games, sure, post a question. Maybe I think we might save maybe like 10 minutes at the end of the podcast to answer like questions from the people. Basically, like I'll just say like WWWN40 smiley face asks, what is your favorite blah blah blah, and we'll go on from there. It might be fun. Of course, you can address like the question to both, or just Blaze, or just me, or whatever. We'll probably both gonna end up commenting on it anyways. So sure, whatever. Yeah. Do you have any closing statement, Blaze?
Well, I can only say this. There was a boss fight that was way more memorable than the one I said, and I just realized it, and I can't go back and say it. But oh well.
Well, you can just name it, maybe.
Well, it was from the same game, Kingdom Hearts. It was opposite armor. I'm just gonna say that.
Okay, sure. So I think that's pretty much it. And until next time, this is Matt,
And I'm Ben.
and we're out. See you next time.